Hello. Hi. I'd like to introduce Carla Anderson, AM, a recent recipient of the Order of Australia Medal. Isn't that right, Carla? It certainly is. So tell us, where were you when you heard about this award? Well, about 2 or 3 months ago, I received a letter from Government House that said that I had been nominated for an AM award, and I thought, well, that's impossible. Somebody's made a mistake. And I threw the letter away. I actually threw it away. Anyway, about a month later, another letter arrived in the post, and it was a confirmation of the AM award. And I looked at the letter, and I did a double take, and I couldn't believe it. But what a humbling experience for me to receive the reward, because the work that I'm involved in is not just about me, it's a team approach. We all work together, deaf-blind people, interpreters, families, my staff, partner organisations such as VicDeaf, Vision Australia. There are so many people and organisations involved that I really can't name them all. It's wonderful, a great honour for you to get an AM, and we're very proud of your tireless work advocating for people who are deaf and blind. Well done, not only to you, but to all those around you. Is there one particular person that you look up to, who inspires you, who motivates you to work hard as you can for the deaf-blind community? There is one person. As you know, I grew up in America, and then I moved to Auckland and worked in an organisation named DCARA. It was a deaf counselling, advocacy and referral agency. Anyway, at that time I worked as a counsellor, and I was asked to set up a support group for people who had Usher syndrome. And really that support group was to focus on employment issues. So we would get together and have discussions in regard to any workplace issues that they might have encountered. So one particular man who had Ushers was named Mr. Art Rohrig. And he was there and I met him. He is a lovely, beautiful man, inside and out. Oh, and he recently celebrated his 70th birthday. At that time, I believe he was the president of an organisation that represented deaf-blind people, and he asked me to become more involved in the community, as it certainly was important to me and I was extremely interested in it. So I went to a deaf-blind conference, and at that conference worked as his interpreter. So I learned a lot about interpreting. So can I ask you, when you interpreted, what methods did you utilise? Was it visual frame interpreting or hand-over-hand tactile interpreting? Well, at the time, Mr. Rohrig still had some sight, so it was visual frame, standing at the right distance from him and modifying my signing. But as time went on and his sight became worse, my interpreting changed to become more tactile. Using American Sign Language is more efficient, as you only need to use one hand to spell, whereas Auslan uses both hands. So in America, a one-handed alphabet, in Australia, a two-handed one. Yes, that's correct. Anyway, back to Art. He was the first person to encourage my involvement in the deaf-blind community. Oh, he was wonderful, full of great ideas, and he truly was a leader of the deaf-blind community. He was also involved in the Helen Keller National Training Centre. So I attended a 5-day training course there and wore a blindfold for 3 days. So I pretended to be deaf and blind for 3 whole days, 24/7. And that experience had a huge impact on me. And then I realised that this was the work that I wanted to be involved in. I wanted to make a difference in service delivery, interpreter training, and support for deaf-blind people. Wow, so big thanks to Art. If we consider both the deaf community and the hearing community, I think both groups don't really understand the deaf-blind community. So what do you think are the most common misconceptions? What really frustrates you in terms of those misunderstandings? Well, there are a number of things for sure, but if I think of maybe the top 2, a word that comes to mind is empathy. I mean, as a deaf person myself, I will never fully understand what it's like to be deaf and blind, and many people would agree with me, but I can certainly empathise. I can try to understand, but sadly many people lack that skill, or they don't want to be empathetic because it's all too hard, it's too difficult, and they can't really understand what it means for the deaf-blind person. They more easily understand that there are deaf people in the world and blind people in the world, but deaf and blind? It's too hard for them to grasp. They can't conceptualise it. And that frustrates me. Most of us can travel, we can use public transport, and just lead independent lives. And I don't know, it really frustrates me that deaf-blind people are not afforded that equality. There are not enough employment opportunities, and I know certainly the situation in Victoria is that there may be about 8 deaf-blind people that have jobs and are working, and the rest are on welfare and not a part of the workforce. So what's your utopia for deaf-blind people? What would it be like to you? Well, clearly the biggest issue is money. The dollars. Deaf-blind people in many situations need 2 interpreters, which is obviously very expensive. In a situation like a conference, for example, you can't just have one stage interpreter for an audience of deaf-blind people. Each individual needs 2 interpreters, which is expensive. There certainly isn't enough awareness and funding in government departments to provide the right support. So it's my hope that with the advent of the NDIS, things will improve, but we'll just have to wait and see. Has it made a difference to this point? Oh, I think it's too early to say. In Victoria, there are only 2 deaf-blind people who have received NDIS funding, and it has made a difference for them in a positive way. They're receiving more support than they've ever had. Alex, you and I are aware that when deaf children attend deaf schools, they make friends for life. But for those deaf people that lose their sight through ushers, they become really isolated because others don't want to put in the extra effort to support them. And so what happens is their friends withdraw from them. So they become isolated. Yes, they're alone. My vision, my hope is for equality. No matter what your differences are or your support needs, whether it's through interpreters, technology, education, everyone should be part of a world that values equality. So the question is, what can we do to make a difference? Well, you need to become educated about the issues for the deaf-blind community. And also make it easy for deaf-blind people to become involved in the deaf community. Involve them, welcome them, and not just through their support person, but directly. And there also needs to be more events that are not only for deaf and hard of hearing people, but for the deaf-blind community too, so that people feel connected or a part of something. It's important for their sense of belonging. So we all have a responsibility to involve deaf-blind people in our community. So we can choose to isolate them or involve them in our community. Well, Carla, we really appreciate your time for talking to us about such an important topic. And once again, we're extremely proud of you and congratulations on your AM. Well, thanks for this opportunity. Okay, bye everyone. Bye.